Hey fellow backyard boyers, Nick here. Recently I ordered a bow from RRArchery on Etsy. They also have their own website. What RRArchery is basically they make what are known as U-finish bows, meaning it's a pre-tillered board bow that you can buy at a fairly reasonable price, and you finish it yourself. So you don't actually have to do the tillering on the bow, but everything else is up to you. Sanding, shaping your handle, basically putting a finish on the bow, it's all up to you. So I got this bow. This is a 64-inch longbow. Pulls about 55 to 60 pounds. And I wanted to show you the packaging that it comes in. One thing that's really nice is that the bows are actually packaged in an airtight bag, basically. And it's nice because the bow is unfinished, and it's made out of hickory. It's a hickory board, and while hickory is great because it's one of those bow woods that you can make a board and you can do a lot of things with it, and it's not going to break on you that easily. Only downside to hickory is that changes in moisture and temperature can be hard on it, and since this bow is unfinished, it's actually really nice that it's in a sealed container. So, I'll go ahead and open this up for you guys. So one of the things with these U-finish bows is that it allows you, if you've never made a bow before, it's always good to have some sort of example to follow. It'll really help bring down the learning curve as far as making your own self bows if you have a good example or a decent example to follow. And this is one way to get a fairly inexpensive example that will still help you a lot in making your own bows. When I started making self bows, I actually didn't have much to go on. It wasn't until I had already made quite a few that I started building a collection of the work of other bowyers. And looking back, if I had a good example to follow to begin with, the learning curve probably would have been a lot shorter. It would have been a lot easier for me to learn a lot of different things, to have a simple, especially a board bow in my hands, because different bows work differently, and board bows are just kind of interesting in the way they end up working. So this bow is made from hickory. A couple things to note: that this is a bow that's made from a piece of lumber, so it's not going to follow a growth ring. What's nice about this bow is it appears to be made from rift sawn wood, which means that rather than having all the growth rings violated, it's actually running at an angle through the growth rings, so you can gain some strength there. Hickory is one of those woods that's pretty tolerant to this sort of treatment, more so than other woods. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that hickory does tend to take a lot of set, even if you finish it really well, and you're going to have to seal it. So once you get this bow, I suggest you open it up when you're ready to basically finish it off and seal it. So let's finish wrapping it. There are different options you can get. You can actually get a fully finished bow from them, or you can do it yourself, and there are different degrees. You can have them cut a handle shelf in for you, or cut the handle or cut the riser so that it's already fit to your hand. I actually got this one without the handle cut out, so it's the full width of the board. That way I can glue on any sort of additional pieces here onto the riser. If I wanted to make a larger riser, I can do a lot of things with it. But here it is. Pretty straightforward. Let me get this stubborn plastic off real quick. With a bow like this, you can leave it unbacked. And the couple of bows I've got from them, if you can see, there are some violations. Some of the growth rings do run off. But for the most part, you've got pretty sound wood going this whole length. For a little extra stability, a little extra assurance, you probably want to back this with something like linen or silk or rawhide. Not sure if you want to put the time into that, but one thing to keep in mind is that all of the information on this bow is printed on the back. You can actually request to have the Ringing Rocks Archery and the weight of the bow placed somewhere else if you do plan on completely backing this whole thing. But overall, it looks pretty good. So I'm going to string it up for you guys. We can see how it looks. One thing to keep in mind is that you're going to have to, this is an unbacked board bow. So even if it's built really well, you're going to have to be gentle with it. You know, you don't have to baby it, but you do have to keep in mind that unlike a PVC bow, you can't just string it up, draw it all the way back. You know, it needs to be worked in to its full draw. As you can see right out of the box, it's got a pretty decent tiller to it. The alignment is good. So yeah, but here it is. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to actually be putting a handle on this. I'm going to be finishing it up and everything, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done. But I just kind of wanted to give you my preliminary thoughts. The guys at Ringing Rocks Archery are really reasonable. If there's anything that you want, if you want to basically have a bow like this where you do everything yourself, they can do that. If you want them to finish it up for you, do certain things, you know, they're really flexible, they'll really work with you. What's really nice is that they actually stand behind their work. If anything goes wrong with this and it's their fault, you know, or if it's just some freak accident, like, you know, you haven't done anything to it yet and a splinter lifts up and breaks the bow, then you can actually let them know and they'll help you resolve it. They're really good about that, and their turnaround is really good too. So, you know, one thing to keep in mind is that when you do get this bow, the moment you actually do any work to it, like you start sanding it or sealing it, it's, you know, no longer their liability because you've already put work into it. So when you do get your bow, if you order from them, just make sure to look at the bow, inspect it, see if there are any splinters or cracks. When it's braced like this, the tiller should be even. You know, you should leave it strung for an hour or so just to see if it changes at all. And just make sure that it's solid and sound before you start doing work on it. Because, you know, like anything else, sometimes you'll find one that has some flaw in it and they'll help take care of you. But that's one thing to keep in mind. They do really nice work. And for the price, you know, you can't really beat it if you just need something, or if you want a good example to help you get started with making wooden self bows or wooden back bows, different board bows. You know, looking and examining and shooting a bow like this will teach you a lot about tiller, and it'll actually allow you to think, well, what if I did this differently? What if this was what's changed? And it helps get you in that mindset. One thing I wanted to note is that you guys can actually get 5% off from their website with the coupon code, all capital letters, cool the number 5. So cool 5, and I'll have that in the description below. But yeah, if you're interested in getting into making self bows and you want a good example, or you'd like to have a board bow that you want to just put your own personal touches, but you don't want to go through the tillering process, then this is a good method to go, a good option. But here it is. I'm going to go ahead and finish it up. I'll show you guys what that looks like later. But here it is. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.